Protest and activism is a form of communication. We're communicating to the powers that be that some people are being discriminated upon, and we want that to change. Hey guys, welcome back to Madness in Nigeria Living, and I'm your host Gisi. Given the result of the recent election in USA, I saw a tweet talking about what are the likelihood of Nigeria getting a female president, and someone else could tweeted it and said something interesting, which is more likely to happen first: a openly queer president, an openly atheist president, a woman president. On this episode, I will be discussing what it would take for each type of president to happen. I do believe any of the three happening is not something that would happen anytime soon, because for one, Nigeria has only had one minority president, and that even happened on special circumstances. But to just play with the hypothetical, what would it mean to have a female president? Nigeria is openly misogynistic and patriarchal. For one, a lot of Nigerian men still feel women cannot make good decisions, women cannot be logical or rational. They also do believe women are by default lower than men. With that kind of mindset, it will be very difficult to get a female president, but I would believe that we are more likely to get a female president than any of the two other options. And the reason is this: Nigeria struggles as a class factor to it, meaning how much you own, how much you earn can alter the way the struggles affect you. So if you are a well-to-do, very rich woman, you have way more power than a poor man that has all the men backing him, and that's the truth in Nigeria. So looking at the class struggles, I would like to highlight where I do believe a woman has a higher chance of being a president, given the hypothetical premise. For one, we have already had the female governor. The first female governor technically happened in Anambra around 2007. She wasn't elected in, but in 2023 election, we got our first elected governor in Nigeria, and it happened in the north. If that could happen in the north, I do believe women has a higher chance of being a president. That said, the struggles of Nigeria right now makes it very difficult for a lot of people to conceptualize this. For one, there have been increase of violence against women, and I do think that reactionary phase of trying to create change is what is causing the pushback. With the visibility of feminists and women straighten their voice, a lot of men feel threatened that they are fighting back. And that fight back is very unethical, but I do think the woman president is still more familiar to the Nigerian man, because Nigeria politics is very, very identical based. The familiarity of the woman, albeit they will look down on the woman, is still something they can relate to better than the next two categories. So for that, I'm going to talk about the next likelihood of being the president, an atheist. A lot of people will say an atheist president seems very likely because it's just a man that doesn't believe in God. But in reality, Nigeria is made up of 98% Christian and Muslims, with 2% for traditional religion. In almost every form you feel, there's no category for non-religious people. There's no category for atheism. It's either you believe in the Islamic God, the Christian God, or the traditional God. Now, given that in mind here, you also say, well, it's just a form, it makes no difference. But in reality, our Nigerian constitution has a statute for blasphemy, meaning you can be tried in a secular court for blasphemy. And what blasphemy is open to interpretation of the judges. If your judge is a strong, devout Muslim or Christian, blasphemy can be a tweet. And this has happened before. In 2022, the leader of the Humanist Association of Nigeria was tried in Kano State, and sentenced to 24 years in prison for 18 counts of blasphemy. All he was an openly atheist person. He openly said he doesn't believe in God. Now you say, well, the north is very extreme, but keep in mind that Islam make up 51% of the Nigerian population. If there are Sharia laws that is recognized by our constitution is against blasphemy, you can see why it's very difficult for an openly atheist person to win the election. I might also note that because blasphemy is open to interpretation, more likely than not, you are most likely to be stoned in the street than to be arrested and taken to the court. So an atheist president is not something that I can conceptualize. I can see a woman president happening within the next 20 years, but an atheist president just seems very unlikely. We are very religious people, and our morality is tied to our religion. So we can't conceptualize someone that will be moral without God. If you say you are an atheist, you are automatically seen as a criminal, as a thief. And that's why it's very difficult to want to vote for someone that openly tells you they don't believe God exists. Now, the third premise, the third agent, the openly queer president, is very, very unlikely. We all know about the same-sex marriage prohibition act in Nigeria, SSMPA, that was signed in 2013 in the Criminal Acts. What that bill did was criminalize homosexuality in Nigeria, not just criminalize, with a maximum sentence of 14 years. Now, it means if you are caught participating in any homosexual act, if you are advocating for homosexuality, you can face 14 years in prison in a secular court. If it's a Sharia court, you can face straight up the death sentence. And this is who are contemplating to be Nigeria president. That is highly unlikely. The Nigerian society is very, very openly homophobic, and our laws back it up. Our laws back our homophobia. Now, given that the woman is more likely to win than an atheist and then a queer person, why discuss about this? Because it's not really something we should discuss about. We know the result. But the reason I decided to discuss about it is because I do feel every conversation needs nuances. And most times when we come out as activists to protest, we need nuances of understanding the context of the conversation, the context in what is being said, the context in who we are talking to, and the context of the overarching society. Then, given that context, we are supposed to break down and communicate our struggles, because protest and activism is a form of communication. We're communicating to the powers that be that some people are being discriminated upon, and we want that to change. Given that, it's very, very easy for a lot of Twitter activists to conceptualize the struggles of the American minority and project it in the Nigerian society. But Nigerian struggles are different. When we talk about feminism, queer rights, and atheist rights in Nigeria, you are supposed to look at the context of the country you are in and communicate it in a way that doesn't feel threatened. Now, is it fair that the people discriminated upon are the one who is supposed to bend over backward for the majority? No, it's not. But it's just being pragmatic. I for one, personally believe in the feminist movement, but I do think in the context of Nigeria, where feminism is being spoken about, we should focus on the things that the Nigerian society faces, because there are some aspect of feminism that is not so, that doesn't really apply well to the Nigerian society, and it's very important to note those aspects. For one point in feminism in America is about how the cost of buying things, female products, are way more expensive than those of male products. In reality, for Nigeria, that's not true. Buying a polo for a man is way more expensive. So, learning the different contexts and applying it is what I believe can be done that creates unity. Because sometimes when you see the feminist discourse and gender war discourse, you see that the disconnect comes from miscommunication. It's not like the other person do not believe what you are saying, they don't like the policies you are proposing. It's more so you are communicating it in a way that threatens their identity, and then they become reactionary. So avoiding overly politicized words, avoiding conversations that feels like you are projecting and not showing the reality of Nigeria, pulling up stats that do not correlate to Nigeria, only cause division and makes the movement harder. And that's just my think piece on this. I'm very, very biased when it comes to this subject, but I just felt like putting this out there. And if you disagree with me, I would love your thought in the comment down below. Thanks again for coming. Like, subscribe. See you again next week. Bye.